Frankly, have you ever heard of anything stupider than to say to people, as they teach in film schools, not to look at the camera? He liked the fragility of those moments suspended in time. Those memories whose only function had been to leave behind nothing but memories. He wrote, "I've been around the world several times, and now only banality still interests me."
Placas de ferro acho que protege algumas escavações que eles estão fazendo novas.
Comunicação interpirâmide. Puta merda, será que essas coisas antigamente, hein, Marcelo?
He wrote me, "I will have spent my life trying to understand the function of remembering, which is not the opposite of forgetting, but rather its lining. We do not remember. We rewrite memory much as history is rewritten."
Hoje nós fomos até o Corcovado. Subimos lá em cima.
I spent the day in front of my TV set, that memory box. I was in Nara with the sacred deers. I was taking a picture without knowing that in the 15th century Basho had written, "The willow sees the heron's image upside down."
Greve do Ernesto Varela, viu? Logo eu, o patrão veio pedir isso pra mim. Logo e o vídeo. Quem vos fala mais uma vez?
The commercial becomes a kind of haiku to the eye, used to Western atrocities in this field. Not understanding obviously adds to the pleasure. For one slightly hallucinatory moment, I had the impression that I spoke Japanese, but it was a cultural program on NHK about Gérard de Nerval.
Souvenir d'une visite au tombeau de Jean-Jacques Rousseau, émouvant et simple monument de...
Aquilo é...
Esta es una iglesia y la parte de enfrente es un vitral.
He wrote me. Curiosity, of course, and the glimmer of industrial espionage in the eye. I imagine them bringing out within 2 years' time a more efficient and less expensive version of Catholicism. But there's also the fascination associated with the sacred, even when it's someone else's. One day he writes to me, "Description of a dream. More and more my dreams find their settings in the department stores of Tokyo, the subterranean tunnels that extend them and run parallel to the city. A face appears, disappears, a trace is found, is lost. All the folklore of dreams is so much in its place that the next day when I'm awake, I realize that I continue to seek in the basement labyrinth the presence concealed the night before. I begin to wonder if those dreams are really mine, or if they're part of a totality, of a gigantic collective dream of which the entire city may be the projection. It might suffice to pick up any one of the telephones that are lying around to hear a familiar voice, or the beating of a heart, say Shonagon's, for example." I'm writing you all this from another world, a world of appearances. In a way, the two worlds communicate with each other. Memory is to one what history is to the other, an impossibility. Legends are born out of the need to decipher the undecipherable. Memories must make do with their delirium, with their drift. A moment stopped would burn like a frame of film blocked before the furnace of the projector. Madness protects, as fever does.
E continua.
I saw it immediately as a setting for science fiction, the landscape of another planet, or rather no, let it be the landscape of our own planet for someone who comes from elsewhere. from very far away. I imagine him moving slowly, heavily, about the volcanic soil that sticks to the soles. All of a sudden, he stumbles, and the next step, it's a year later.
É uma infinidade de pontos. E quem sabe onde vão levar a gente?
Of course, I'll never make that film. Nonetheless, I'm collecting the sets, inventing the twists, putting in my favorite creatures. Brooding at the end of the world on my island of Sal in the company of my prancing dogs, I remember that month of January in Tokyo. Or rather, I remember the images I filmed of the month of January in Tokyo. They have substituted themselves for my memory. They are my memory. I wonder how people remember things who don't film, don't photograph, don't tape. How has mankind managed to remember? I know, it wrote the Bible. The new Bible will be an eternal magnetic tape of a time that will have to reread itself constantly, just to know it existed. As we await the year 4001 and its total recall, that's what the oracles we take out of their long hexagonal boxes at New Year may offer us. A little more power over that memory that runs from camp to camp, like Joan of Arc. That a shortwave announcement from Hong Kong radio picked up on a Cape Verde island projects to Tokyo, and that the memory of a precise color in the street bounces back on another country, another distance, another music, endlessly.